Hey everybody, happy Sunday and welcome to Call the AD here on Scottish Watches. I'm Arthur.
I'm Stephanie.
And this is our weekly show where we go in depth on one particular topic and have a fun discussion about it with you all live in the chat. So this week we're going to be talking about heirloom watches, a little bit of some of our personal stories, but also what makes one.
Yeah.
What are your options? Is every watch worthy of being an heirloom watch? Which I think there's probably some varying opinions on that. So that'll be interesting to hear what people have to say. But before we get started, if you like what you see, please like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can see what we're doing on the channel as well as our friends at Time of the Week.
Yeah.
That's good. You want to start with a wrist check?
I think so. We wore our heirloom watches today.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
What are you doing?
I just wore a watch.
No. You'll have to talk about yours then, I guess. Come on, you gotta dress for the theme. But I am wearing a Tiffany's dress watch. I'm gonna take it off and see if I can show it a little bit better.
If you put it close and put your hand behind it, I think it'll
go. So this is a Tiffany's dress watch that it was my stepdad's that he.
That's not really working.
No, it's not working. That he passed down to me around the time that Arthur and I got married, and I just love it. It's great. It's a simple dress watch with Roman numerals, but I think it's really beautiful. And the strap that I had on it was just like a black one, and it was starting to get a little worn, and I decided to do something fun with it and got Deluxe custom ordered a Tiffany blue chevre strap, and I think it's just fun. It makes it a little less stressy and a little bit more playful, and I've really been getting into colorful straps and making everything a little bit more colorful in my collection. So this is really fun. I love this piece. It's really special to me. It's a quartz, which I know is not if you're thinking heirloom watches, not something you would think of to have a quartz watch, but this is great. And I love that he wore it a bunch, and now women are wearing a little bit larger watches, and back then men were wearing a little bit smaller watches, so it fits my wrist pretty perfectly. And now to see it on a man's wrist seems really small, actually. It looks really tiny on you. 33, I think.
Here, let's show a picture from Instagram here.
Picture. Yeah, so there's an actual close-up picture of it. Let
me do the switcheroo. Sorry, that's not working well at all. There we are. The picture's more important than our faces.
Yeah. Anyway, it's also the only all gold watch that I have. And yeah, I love it. So I wanted to wear it today.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I am wearing...
Not wearing
my heirloom watch. I'm wearing my Tudor Black Bay 58 today, the classic gilt dial black one. But we'll talk more about our heirloom watches a little bit later. But I guess to start things off, saying hi to some friends here in the chat, both Koos and David. We delayed the show a little bit today because of the British Grand Prix, which was...
it was a great race.
I don't know.
It was a race. It was a race. It was entertaining.
Yes, that's right. A lot of controversy in that one, too.
Worth watching if you haven't yet.
Yeah, if you're into F1. Yeah. All right, so to start things off, I guess, what is an heirloom watch?
Well, at a very basic level, it's whatever watch you pass on to others, right? And we had our baby Celeste. She's going to get all of our watches, so I guess they're all technically heirloom watches. But maybe thinking from early on or at some point in your child's life of getting a watch that you want to pass along to them.
So that's heirloom with the intent of it being heirloom.
Yeah.
David has a good point here that really anything could be an heirloom watch for future generations, even this Black Bay 58 that I bought only for myself.
Well, and I have a quartz Seiko gold plated, it's not very pretty watch that my dad wore, right?
Yeah.
It's sitting at my desk at work.
That's what matters, is that he wore it.
He wore it. It's ugly and not working, but I have it. He has some other nicer watches too. It'd be fun to have at some point. But so that counts too. It doesn't all have to be high end, right? Yeah.
So just by definition, it's a watch to be passed down, right? Yeah. Whether that's inherited at the end of someone's life, a grandparent or a parent passing it down, or given as a gift at a certain milestone often, right? Like 16th or 18th birthday, college, graduation, all of those are nice times to pass those on,
Or
right?
some big accomplishment in their lives. So, or wedding, right? That's another one.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting point. Midlife crisis watches are crucial for heirloom status. That's probably true for a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you kind of like went really big with a watch purchase around that time. That's probably going to be something that you hand down.
Yeah. But one thing to think about too is like our daughter may not be into watches, right?
No, right.
Because whatever your parents do is wrong, right? And not cool and not fun.
Yeah.
So she may think we're huge nerds about this. But I think if you're thinking about getting an heirloom watch to pass on, you would want something that's pretty classic, right? And
I think so.
Or maybe not just usable, wearable, like something that can be enjoyed, not just like some grand complication thing that you can only wear once every now and then. And actually, I think Coos brings up a good point. Like in 20, 30 years I hope wristwatches are still a thing and exciting with just like other classic jewelry pieces. But I don't know, maybe she's going to have like some like heads up display hologram thing.
She's like,
a contact
the screen on my contact lens or my bionic implants.
I don't need this old technology. It'll be antiques, but
I think that's one of the themes we've seen with ourselves and with other people who have heirloom watches that they value a lot. Is it's more about who it came from than what it is,
right?
And I think that's one of the things I was interested to talk about is what's worthy of it being an heirloom watch. Mm-hmm. I think the first thing that came to mind is some people buy things for this intention, right? You buy something upon the birth of a child, like we're trying to do with the pink OP for Celeste.
Maybe she'll turn 18 before we get it.
Yeah.
But
or you may just have something that you wear so much, and especially if this is for your kid, they see you wearing that watch, they experience things with you. And then it's like burned in their memory. One day they have it, and that's special too, right?
Yeah. No, I really like the idea too of passing on something that you have memories together with, right? So it's not just, oh, Celeste saw me wearing this watch all the time or something like that, but that this, it's a watch that I was wearing for her first ballet recital or the first time she raced a car, or whatever it is, and really like building those memories together. And then that's something that she can have and enjoy.
Yep. So what do you think on when to pass it down? I mean, there's certainly the inherited aspect, which is a little grim to think about, right? But
sorry, I kicked the bucket, but here's
everything. I mean, giving it as a gift at a milestone emphasizes, especially when you have multiple watches, that there was one that you intended maybe for this purpose. I think it's
really nice because then you can watch them enjoy it and wear it. Right? Well, hopefully they enjoy it and wear it. And not just keep it in a safe. But at what age? I don't know. I think we're gonna have to see how Celeste's maturity level is, right? And when we trust her with an important piece of jewelry like that. I also think too that I have other watches I might want to give her before I give her the Rolex OP, right? Something that she can wear that I'm worried a little bit less about. If she, if we give her something at 16 and she's a, not super responsible teenager and loses it, I don't want to feel awful. I don't want her to feel really terrible. That means it wasn't time to pass on something really nice. So.
And if you gave it to her too early and then that happened, I think that's not necessarily on her. It'd be more on us,
right?
Because we set her up in this situation where
maybe we didn't teach her to be responsible enough.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
Something up a little too early. But I like the idea of not having it just be a birthday, but some big milestone in her life or some big accomplishment. So like graduation is one, but maybe something outside of school that she's really proud of.
That's a good idea.
Or a reward of, some sort of incentive thing for her that we could set up.
I was thinking college graduation.
Yeah.
Nice, but there are other ways to do it. That's a good point.
Yeah. But in this watch too, like we're buying it with the intention of an heirloom watch, right? I thought it would be fun to get her birth year watch. Let's hope we're able to get it.
Yeah, hopefully it comes in the same year.
We'll 2021 birth year watch. But I do intend to wear it, right? For us, I didn't want to get an heirloom watch that stays in the safe and just adds, accrues value, maybe, I don't know, accrues value over 16 years, 18 years. I think what I would appreciate and enjoy about it is, not just I don't want to wear, a Rolex, pink Rolex for 16, 18 years, but I think it's important to build memories with it and not just keep it in a safe. But I also don't tend to want to have safe queens watches anyway, more broadly.
Right. So that's the like. So there's the if you're intending something to be an heirloom watch, do you buy it new or do you buy it used? I think it's nice to buy it new.
Yeah.
So that it starts its life within your family, right? And then do you keep it new for them, unworn, or do you wear it? And I think I'm with you there. Even I, who likes perfect, flawless, scratchless watches, I think the point of a kid or whoever in whatever relationship you may be passing the watch on to, that they've seen you wear it, and that's part of the experience.
Well, then with me, you might as well buy it used because it's going to look well worn. You would pass on something and still be, perfectly pristine, but.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I guess in terms of watch style, I feel like my stereotype of an heirloom watch is it's a certain caliber is a bad word, but for watches, because of it means movement, but a certain level of watch worthy of passing down. And at least maybe it's just because of the style of prior generations. I feel like a lot of heirloom watches today are dress watches passed down. But I think there's something to be said for it being a more everyday piece because it's just more usable, especially as people get more casual in the way they dress too, right?
I mean, we'll see what trends are, but I think, having something that doesn't necessarily have to be super dressy or super casual, but this is where that category of one watch to rule them all fits in, right?
It would be a good one to pass on.
Start a collection with a watch that's like that. Or if she never wants to buy any other watches or have any other watches, too bad, she's getting all of mine. But that's a good one to anchor. Anchor collection.
So I think that I would summarize that as an iconic watch is probably a safe choice, more likely to stand the test of time in terms of its design.
Yeah.
And especially if it's one that's versatile, that's fun too, right?
Yeah. Well, and where we don't know where trends are going to go, right? Right now, women are tending to wear bigger watches, but I think that's because 15, I guess even now 20 years ago, when watches started getting really big for men, right? Then I think that kind of followed that women started wearing bigger watches. So, even getting a 36 OP to pass on, is that going to look really big?
Still some risk
15,
there.
20 years,
there's
a little bit of risk. A more classic choice would be a smaller date just or a Cartier tank or something that I don't think small will ever be inappropriate, right? Totally out of trend.
Right. Because yes, there are trends, but there's certain things that are about proportion to the human anatomy of a wrist, and that's simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So this is interesting. David raises the point, to some extent, picking a higher end piece ensures it will be treated with importance. I think there is something to be said to that. And I think perhaps the counterpoint is what Koos says, because isn't the right watch the one you loved, right? So I guess it also depends upon the people and the personalities involved too, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, and what you're going for. If you want that heirloom thing to be about its value in some way or just sentimental.
Well, and certainly want quality, right? So that maybe it's not super expensive or
worth, especially if it's mechanical, worth keeping it running all that time, right? And from just the practical.
But you can get that in a couple $100 Seiko, right?
That's true.
And that's fine. There's some great ones out there. But I don't know.
I mean, you could argue at that point, okay, that if it's a mechanical Seiko, it's going to need to be serviced so many times over this passing it down that you've paid for it many times over. But if it's that sentimental, then that's fine too.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of birth year watch because then when it is handed down, even if it hasn't taken the journey with that person their whole life, they know it's just the same age, right? And you see collectors even try to seek that out for themselves, right? Maybe nobody's, it's rare that someone's parents were just as into this hobby as they are if they're watching the show or whatever. But, to sort of seek out your own birth year watch is a thing.
Yeah.
And something I'm interested in at some point. Although it would require me to buy used and at this point, truly vintage. They're only getting older, right? So that's a little against.
They're only getting older. You're only getting older.
Both. This is the nature of time, right?
Yeah.
I think classically precious metal seems to be appropriate, but I think it's probably just because the watches that are being handed down as heirloom watches now, especially from like, I don't know, our parents to our generation, were more traditionally sort of a dressier piece, and those dress watches were often precious metals.
Yeah.
That perhaps supports David's argument that a higher value or higher tier watch is more likely to be sort of respected and cared for by the next.
That's true.
The next generation.
But I wonder with precious metals, I guess I'm specifically thinking gold. I mean, I don't think a men's gold dress watch is ever truly out of style, but definitely, for you don't wear gold really. I mean, now that
it's mostly that I don't wear dress watches, but I haven't tried a gold sports watch either. So.
Yeah. So then it's like, what if you do want to go precious metal? Do you do a white gold or yellow gold for a men's watch? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's a safer with women, right? You can kind of go either way.
That's true.
Probably be fine.
Because even if our daughter doesn't like watches, she might enjoy wearing it as jewelry.
Piece of jewelry, yeah.
Which is an interesting thought too. That's fine as well. One thing I think is cool that we did not have on any of the watches we received as heirloom watches is engraving. It's a nice way to go. And if you're sure something is going to be an heirloom piece, I think that's a cool way to kind of lock that in.
I think so too.
And particularly, I mean, I'm kind of tempted by this idea, particularly the reverso and the way the room that watch has for engraving. And how it can be done by JLC, I think is particularly beautiful, right? When the case is flipped, if it's not a duo or a duetto, there's a lot of real estate for really pretty engraving.
And this is where I think it like, if you really did a reverso, where I think the back is just like meant to be engraved, right? I think, so if you're going to, like for an heirloom watch, right? If you're getting a reverso, you're not sure you're going to keep it. That's one thing. But I think investing in having really, really, really nice engraving done, whether it's through JLC or through some sort of master engraver type. And maybe it's not just a monogram or a birth date, but they can do some really neat images or,
family crests if you've got one of those.
Right.
I don't.
But I think that could be really fun. That could even be an experience, right? If you go together to JLC with the watch and go do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Is if the person to eventually receive the watch is there for its purchase or creation, that's a cool element
that is a good way. Maybe you go on a really great trip together and buy it and say, you'll wear it for a while and eventually hand it on.
David says engraving makes it harder for your future generations to pawn it off or whatever. I like that idea. Lock it in. Will here is saying, I think he's going for the idea of sort of classic and versatile. Tudor, Rolex, Cartier, Grand Seiko, Mago would be good to pass down. Yeah, some Breitlings as well. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on your preference, but a lot of those things are sort of more classic designs, less avant-garde and of a certain moment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And material-wise, steel or white gold makes it more everyday wearable for sure.
I think everyday, but like could be dressed up. Like I think all the ones you mentioned were great, but that's why I like Reverso. I think that's like a fun one. But a sub, a Cartier tank, a Datejust, I don't know, an Omega, like Aquaterra,
Patek Calatrava.
Sure. We're working a different budget there. But I think that's kind of what you look for.
So should we talk about some more about ours?
Yeah. Why don't you talk about yours?
Okay, sure. So mine, I've told a little bit of this story on past shows, but mine, I guess you probably wouldn't pick this off of a dealer's shelf and say this watch is going to be an heirloom from the start. Yeah. It does feel particularly of the moment of the 2000s, but this is my Tag Heuer Aqua Racer Chrono timer. And my half-brother, who was about 15 years older than me, unfortunately got cancer, and before he passed away wanted to own a nice watch. And he knew very little about watches, but was sort of a techie guy. Smart watches weren't a thing yet. So he went into Chrono in New York City looking for a watch that sort of suited his style. He was a more casual guy. And as I said, into technology. So went with this Annie Digi tough waterproof watch. And this I inherited when he passed away in 2008. And I mean, to be honest, it's not the watch I would have picked as my only nice watch. But for me, it was also my first nice watch.
Yeah.
And it's important for sentimental reasons, of course. And it represents to me sort of his style, which is different than mine, but it's all sort of encapsulated in that. So it's not something that's become like a daily wearer for me, but it's something I definitely value a lot. So yeah, this is that watch. It came on a rubber OEM strap. Here I've got it on a NATO, which is a little bit, to me, a little comfier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it was an example of, to me, like a very non-traditional heirloom watch, but it also showed me, especially when you're talking about sentimental value, it really can be anything.
Well, and
right?
I like this one because it's not something you see all the time, right? And when you wear it, obviously you have the sentimental value to it. I actually kind of like that it's very of the 2000s because it's very clearly like, I don't know, your brother saw this watch, he picked it out, he wanted it for himself. It was super cool at the time. I think it's still super cool. But yeah, to have it kind of not just a connection because it was his, but it takes you back to that era and what he was thinking.
Right. And then in this case, it's interesting, of course it was a sad thing happening, but because it is of that moment, I know it reminds me of exactly that point. Right.
Yeah.
And that he did this like happy thing for himself, which is really nice. To me, I don't look at it and feel sad. I look at it and feel happy. So,
and you wear it a lot when you're driving. It's
true. It's great for wearing on autocross days and any day that I can feel sporty, fun stuff. Yeah. So that is the heirloom watch I have received.
Yeah.
Why don't we switch over to show yours? You talked a little bit about the Tiffany. Do you want to start there? Or do you want to
show the Tiffany again. I think that this watch is just such a classic. I don't know. There aren't many Tiffany's watches that I'm particularly interested in or have really gravitated towards. So I think actually some of their East-West stuff that's out now is kind of fun. I know it's not like fantastic movements or anything, but just interesting, fun designs. But this, I mean, for a girl to get a Tiffany watch is just something really fun and very special.
Especially in the US, right?
Yeah.
That brand name is sort of has like really nice jewelry associations.
But when we got married and my stepdad, Bob, told me that he wanted to pass this along to me. I just gotten out of doing watch research for you, of buying a Frederic Constant, and was starting to think, well, I wanted to get a nice watch for myself. So at the time, not only was this wonderful to receive such a special gift from him, but I was just starting to really get that watch bug, and to have him pass it along to me was really special.
Yeah. And you made it your own with the strap.
I have. Cool. I mean, I before I changed it and just had on the black strap, I wore it a lot. Like whenever I would dress up in a suit, or have some big important meeting, this was usually the watch that I went for when I needed to dress up a little bit. I wore it to some black tie events, which was really fun. I don't often wear gold jewelry, but anytime I did, I would always wear this. And now I'm really liking playing with colors. So I think by having it on the Tiffany blue strap, it's like, it's playing up Tiffany. That's just kind of fun.
Right.
But then also to have a little bit of color makes it a little bit more casual, and just kind of fun.
Which is more useful these days when we're not dressing up as much. Right?
It is.
Cool. And then the interesting thing is, a few years later, another classic dress watch sort of popped up as a second gift, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, this one is great. So again, my stepdad Bob had this Universal Geneve that he passed along to me as a Christmas gift a couple of years ago. I had never seen this watch before. I didn't know he had it, and then this just like came out of nowhere, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. Before he passed it along, he had it serviced, and so it's running really well. It's running pretty great, and it's I think the case shape is really beautiful. It's kind of hard to see in that picture. Let me see if I can show it here.
We go full screen. For
terrible at doing this, but
hold it really close so that your hand is covering most of the screen. You got to get my face out of it.
I can't do it. Anyway, it has like almost turkey leg kind of lugs. And it's not a shape that I have on any other sort of watch or that I really see or could get at any sort of reasonable price point. And the gold on this one, it tends a little rosy. I think it is yellow gold, but it definitely is on the,
it's almost like it's
rosier
yellow
side.
Gold where some of the alloy materials have patinaed it a
Yeah,
little.
exactly. And the dial is like this fun kind of silvery, it has a little bit of patina on it. Now, when this was serviced or when he bought it, I'm not sure. They did switch out the hands, so these aren't original hands.
I think it must have happened a long time ago because even these have patinaed quite a bit.
So one of my projects for this year is to seek out the original hands for this watch because we found a picture of them. They're beautiful,
They're like a leaf shape,
sort of. And I just think it would kind of take this watch up to the next level. So that's something I'd like to get done.
Yeah.
And then play around with straps. I just put this one on because I happen to have it. But get something fun, get like a custom one from Deluxe too, I think.
Yeah,
just to
nice.
make it even more special.
Could even go with color.
Yeah.
Or just something classic.
I think maybe something classic, like but maybe a little bit lighter.
That'd be nice.
Like a light tan or beige or something like that.
Yeah.
But I love this, and it's really special, and it means a lot that he passed both of these on to me. I do like that they're dress watches. I tend to wear them more for special occasions, or at least when I'm dressed up a little bit and not just in jeans. Though it definitely works with jeans, but
for you especially, I feel
yeah,
I'm not so much a dress watch and casual kind of guy.
You might be able to wear this one. This one's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, no, I've worn it one day actually. I hope you knew that. A couple of years ago. Yeah. It's really nice. I do like it. So I guess I wanted to ask those in the chat, have you bought a watch explicitly with the intent of it being passed down, or have you been given or inherited a watch that has particular sentimental or monetary value, whatever it is to you? I wanted to see what people have to say.
Sure.
I think most people probably have stories like this, or at least sort of daydream about one day doing that. I see Shizzle here in the comments says, I'd love to give my daughter my SBGA 413. That's the spring Grand Seiko season, the Sweet 16. Yeah. For the feeling she prefer a car. Yeah, that's probably true around that age.
I don't know. Like kids are getting their licenses later and later these days, right? Are they even driving as much? Maybe we'll have.
Maybe watch is the right gift.
Yeah. I think you should do that for her. It'd be really nice.
I have one of those as well. It's a nice pink watch.
Like he'll pass it on to his 16-year-old daughter, and you won't let me wear yours. Trust a teenager, and you don't trust your wife.
Well, maybe when Celeste is a teenager, I'll let her.
You let her wear it before me?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other stories or thoughts on handing things down? Let's give people a.
Yeah.
Kusa's saying great value in vintage gold watches. Agreed, for sure.
Yeah.
That's some cool stuff, especially if you don't mind smaller diameters.
We don't really have any store. I don't know if we know any multi-generational watches that have been passed down. I actually don't know what watches my grandparents wore. I don't know if you do. Maybe
no, I don't.
Ask your mom.
Yeah, I'm wondering about my grandfather.
Because that would be fun to know and learn about.
And Dan showed up. Speaking of heirloom watches, there's a really nice story he put together and with Ben Hodges from Fratello on inheriting his grandfather's Omega tuning fork movement.
Oh yeah,
constellation.
That's really special.
That's one of the greatest personal stories.
Yeah.
That I know of in terms of watches. So.
That's true.
Let's see. Yeah, I totally agreed with Ollie G hamster. Any watch can be an heirloom. Yep. I'm with you there.
I very much agree with that. I did like the idea though of buying something special for Celeste that we were going to pass on. And yes, I'm going to enjoy it, to not keep it in a safe and have it be perfect for her, I guess, is one thing, but I wanted to build those memories with it to pass on to her over time. Because I don't know, I think it's a little bit different than buying a watch at the time to celebrate a specific occasion, right? That's a gift versus an heirloom, I think.
A gift in a moment versus a gift planned years in advance, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. That's incorrect. Did you tell him that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and David, yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
So hopefully that works out. Oh, this is a nice suggestion. What do you think? How attached are you to that your Zenith?
Oh, very. It's my favorite watch that I have in my collection by far right now. I don't wear it every day. I wear it a lot, but I don't wear it every day.
It's especially
perfect
special occasion. You were wearing it last night.
Yeah, but Celeste in space, right?
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
It is kind of meant to be.
It would be awesome for her.
It's cool.
But it'll be very hard for me to pass that on to her until she's definitely like gonna be responsible enough and actually.
I mean, I don't think even an 18-year-old should be wearing a watch with a diamond bezel.
No,
to be honest.
No, I don't think
even if she's responsible enough, she kind of.
And I'm not sure I want to share for a while.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So that would be fun. Actually, it'd be fun. Like early on, is maybe we should get one of those Timex Celestial ones with the disc that moves and tells time. Pull up a picture of that. That could be a fun, like, one step beyond a flick flack. When she gets a little bit older and like teenage years for a watch to enjoy. Cool. I should buy one before they.
Is it called the Celestial
Yeah.
Opulence?
Yes.
That's quite a name.
It is.
Good God. Okay. Let me just pull this up here.
So this is not an heirloom watch, but like
introductory
in the
theme.
Yeah, a little past little kid watch.
The Celestial Opulence. I'm not sure that I'm going to sound like a jerk, but I'm not sure that any Timex should be called opulent.
No, nor should be called an heirloom watch. I really shouldn't be talking about it on this show, but just thinking
cool
of
ideas for things down the road.
Yeah. And actually, kind of fun story about this watch. Our friend was on the Virgin Galactic flight last weekend. Sarisha Bandla, she works here in DC with me. She's great. She's fantastic. And she got to go on a flight. I don't know what watch she wore on the flight. I need to find out from her. I had asked her before, but she was, obviously a little bit busy. But I know that she wears one of these as a daily wear.
The Timex.
Kind of fun. The Timex. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. She wanted to get a nice watch for herself, but wanted like a intro one to see if
maybe that's
the
next watch in space, or maybe it's been. Not to see. Yeah. Cool. I think that's probably about it.
So too.
We're trying to keep these episodes a little bit shorter these days to make them a little more digestible, and also with the kid demanding attention, I think that works a little better for us.
Yes, I hear a baby calling us.
Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this.
Yeah.
As always, please check out everything else Scottish Watches and follow us on Instagram at callthea.d for more, where we'll post in between shows and let you know what's going on.
We'll try to be back next week.
And as a final joke here, yes, the new Tag Super Mario watch is an instant heirloom.
For sure.
We'll leave it there, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Thanks, everybody.